It's Saturday, April the 8th, 2023, and we're at Penelope's Coffee Company, who is hosting our town hall. Let's go in.
Machine language.
Yeah, my dad was an assembly language programmer.
Assembly language,
Yeah, and he did some really cool stuff. He did the first point of sale system for McDonald's in the World Trade Center when it was still being built. It would have been about 60 years.
I didn't know you were kind of thing. I was supposed to get out of the way.
How are you? We're starting to gather here. He just walked by. I think he's in there. So anyhow, I'm going to holler at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a computer guy. I can finally get my
I told him you were. I remember you told me that she was
Christmas like that.
sitting up in the backyard, in the back room.
But I'll go get your card.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No, I'm giving it to you.
Hey, and Tom, would you introduce Jacque Miller? Jacque is our publicist with our local nonprofit, and she's the secretary of the Environmental Action Council and has been active from the very beginning. And she operates a local museum for school children here in the town for free.
Busy, huh?
Yes.
Emily Foxall of Houston with the Texas Tribune. And her photographer living in
Oh, right.
Austin, okay.
Oh, my goodness. And what is your name, dear boy?
My name's Evan. Evan Elroy.
Evan?
Yes.
I'm so glad y'all are here.
Thanks for letting us be here.
Make sure you fill up on all the goodies.
Natalie, look at that. That's a bunch of your materials right there. David, let Natalie have a look at that. Okay. She and I had talked earlier, and that was some of the quotes from George Washington and from Theodore Roosevelt right there.
Where is mine?
David, that's Jim Emery, and here's a schedule. I give Natalie, I brought about 5 extras so people can have one. Natalie, we've got you kind of wrapping it up, and I'm behind you, and then David's going to dismiss us. So have a seat for a while and get yourself comfortable now.
Okay, well, where do I need to just anywhere?
Anywhere, yeah. Don't lose us, and then a little while we'll give her a cake.
Well, being there all well, Andy can't come because I know I had Pickens, and they took off one of those crowns from all these. I got across there to the shop and had to go back around. Tamales for the whole that was somebody.
Some of the other people here on the solar stuff, and so we've got a short program. Hopefully everybody is enjoying the, there we go. I guess it's the one button and I didn't know which one to push. So bear with me, I'm getting old here. What you see on this screen up here are photographs which Gary Boren and I took from the air of most of the solar sites. This actually here, and they're just going to scroll through. This is a battery energy storage system out at Stampede and in the next county over. So as these scroll through, you'll see a bunch of different photographs. So just continue to watch this throughout the program. If you have any questions on it, we're more than happy to try to answer. That's one of the problems with this whole solar issue is there's a lack of answers. So anyway, the First speaker that we had was Michael Pickens, but Michael's running a little bit late, so he'll be in later. He's out of Dike, Texas, and they have the same issue going on over there. So our first speaker for the day is going to be, before I do that, I'm sorry, I want to recognize a couple different people here. So we have Mike Rampin at a precinct at large. He's over here running for the water board. And then we have Gary Morrow at a precinct 4 back there, also running for the water board. Jennifer Callier right over there, she is precinct 3. We have Commissioner Jerry Cooper, precinct 1. Where's Jerry? There he is back there, sorry. We have Mike Millender, he's place 6 running for the school board right here. And then we have Toby Godfrey, precinct 2, right over here. So these are some of the people in our community that are either in positions of authority or are running for positions of authority. So we appreciate the support for all of them. So the first speaker that we're going to have today is Ron Barker.
Really?
It's you, Ron. You need some time?
No,
I didn't think so. Of research on what's going on here, and so there's a lot of maps and other documents all along the walls. Please feel free to look at them, and if you have a question, ask somebody, and we're trying to get you an answer. But I think we've got some good speakers tonight, and hopefully this will help inform you of what's actually happening here. Thank you.
Okay. This needs to be right here.
Somewhere up there.
Okay, I'm Ron Barker. I live here in Mount Vernon. We live 3 miles out on Highway 67 West. And I'm a concerned citizen, and helping out any way I can. And I have a story and a song, and it's going to be one of those deals like when the judge bangs his gavel down and says, "Where are you going with this?" And I say, "Well, I've got a point." He says, "Say, well, you need to speed it up or stop." So that's my point. I have a short story to get to a very shorter story. I went in the Army at 19 for 3 years. I was home on leave before going to Southeast Asia, and my dad, uncle, and brother all went squirrel hunting. As the last time to be together, I left for a year for the war that seemed like it would be forever. We all rode in 2 pickups to north of Mount Vernon to what my daddy called Flatwoods. Such a wonderful day in the woods. The air was damp and the rays of sunlight in stripes came down to the floor of the tree-covered ground. Such a beautiful, clean, and pure smell. With birds chirping, the woods were full of life, even though we couldn't see it all. It was the deep woods that I had grown to love from my first step into the mystical, overgrown, almost untouched garden. We didn't talk at first as just to enjoy the sounds of the woods. We all had rifles, and I remember joking that mine felt so light that I almost put both hands into my pockets, forgetting I was carrying it. The M14s I'd been packing for a year and a half were 4 or 5 times the weight of my .22 caliber squirrel gun I carried that day. My dad and uncle had both been in World War II, and my dad even a POW in the winter of 44 and 45 in Germany. They captured their guards on Friday 13, 1945, 78 years ago next week. Daddy always called that his lucky day. My brother died from what I believe mental and physical problems from Vietnam. I went overseas the next week, but that day, those days I've always cherished and are still in my mind. Many nights I lay thinking about those wonderful, beautiful days. Have you ever heard a story beginning with, Remember that day we walked through the solar fields until dark? No. There's a little plagiarism going on right here. But this says and means a lot, and maybe the meaning of this song will overshadow my untrained and unskilled voice. And let me warn you, my delivery is less than perfect, so sometimes you might think the song's over, and it's really not. So I'll tell you when it is. When I was a child, my family would travel down to northeast Texas where my parents were born. And there's a little town that's often remembered so many times that my memories are worn. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Mount Vernon, Texas, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. The big solar companies have hauled it away. Well, sometimes we'd travel right down the Green River to a beautiful prairie right over the hill where the air smelled like snakes and we'd shoot with our pistols, but empty pop bottles was all we would kill. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Mount Vernon, Texas, down by the green prairie where the paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. The big solar companies have hauled it away. The solar companies came with incentives and tax breaks, and they tortured the timber and stripped all the land. Well, they dug up our trees till the land was forsaken, and they wrote it all down as the progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Mount Vernon, Texas, down by the green prairie where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. The big solar companies have hauled it away. When I die, let my ashes float down the Green River. Let my soul roll up to Lake Cypress Dam. I'll be halfway to heaven with paradise waiting, just 5 miles away from wherever I am. Yeah, that was it now. And I've done all that to get to this one part that Billy gave me a while back, and they chose to put my image reading this on Channel 7, but it's a law or rule. Municipalities, the governing body of a municipality or the commissioner's court of a county may enforce any law that is reasonably necessary to protect the public health. That's what y'all are trying to do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You didn't tell him that was by John Prine.
Oh, well, go ahead.
He stole that from the illustrious John Prine. So the next person that we're going to have speak is Mr. Jim Emery from the North Franklin County Fire Department.
I don't have any stories, and I'm sorry you don't have a song that I'm going to sing. Probably one of them, and that's all we need. I am concerned about the solar farms, what it's going to do to our county, to our homes, to our children, our grandchildren. Everything, the research that we have done, there's nothing good about these things. The lead, the cadmium, and all the other heavy metals that's in these things, there's nothing good about it. The night at the school board meeting, the solar folks were there, they told us that they had provided training, equipment, and everything that any fire department would need if there was a fire at one of these solar farms. And they've done all this in Milam County. Well, it's not real hard to get online and do some Googling and searching till you can find a chief in Milam County. And I talked to the chief in Milam County. He said that nobody had contacted them in any way. They had no training. One member on one of their volunteer fire departments there had seen one of the guys, and he said, y'all come out and we'll give you a tour. A tour don't do anything for you. You need the equipment and the knowledge and on how to fight a fire with this, because you can't just run out there and put it out. Just one of these electric vehicles catches on fire, you may use 6,000 to 10,000 gallons of water just to put it out. It just keeps coming back and back. There's nothing good about it. I went myself, my son, and I know some of them from Mount Vernon, went to a GM electric vehicle class that they give in Garland. And the first thing they tell you when you come up on a wreck with one of these vehicles is to get out and make sure you have all of your bunker gear, SCBA, breathing apparatus, everything on, because you don't want to breathe any of this stuff, and you don't want any of this getting on your skin at all. GM is telling you this at a training class. So what's good about these things? I say there's nothing good about them in any way. Think about a building with 100,000 lithium-ion batteries in it if it catches on fire. You got to evacuate an area of 3 miles every direction from it. Yeah, you might get the people out of there, but what about your livestock? Your dogs, cats, the deer, all the wildlife. Everything is wasted, you know, okay? You got all this water coming off this thing, going in the ground, runoff, with all these heavy metals and everything else in it. Where's it going? It's going in our drinking water, polluting our ground, that you can't just get it out. If you breathe the stuff, it's a heavy metal, you can't get it out of your system. What do you do if you eat cattle that's drink some of this water or eat some of this grass that that's come across? What does it do to you? We don't know. They don't know. They have done no environmental impact studies on this in any kind of shape, form, or fashion. They're just trying to shove it down our throat, whether you want it or not. They say it's easier to get forgiveness than it is to get permission. You know, and they're just nothing good. Do your research. It's bad. We don't need it. It's going to destroy thousands of acres of ground, and for how many years? We don't know how many years. It may be like the nuclear industry. We don't know how long that stuff will lay there before it's gone away. They can't tell you how long it'll be there. In making these solar panels, they have to wear hazmat suits. Well, that dangerous chemical or whatever don't just mysteriously go away. What happens if you have a tornado, hailstorm, or whatever come through there, breaks these panels? Then you got all these carcinogens going in the ground and on your property. You know, with all the miles and miles of fences that they're putting around everything. What is that going to do to our wildlife that we have here that everybody enjoys? You know, we all like our squirrel hunting, deer hunting, or whatever. Who knows what's going to happen to all that? You know, what happens if you eat a deer that come off that's drank some of this water or eat some of this grass that's been polluted? You don't know what's going to happen to it, or what's going to happen to your kids or your grandkids, your great-grandkids. You know, think about more than just writing out today and the dollars that you might get today. Think about our generations to come, you know, to leave this place in a better place as good or better than what we found it. You know, we do not have the tools, the equipment, the knowledge, or anything to fight a fire at one of these places at all. Do you want your husband, your sons, if they're on the fire department, or daughters, going into one of these places? You know, I know a guy that works for a company in Mount Pleasant that made some parts for one of them. They told him where to go and put it, and he said, but you'll have to go out there by yourself because we won't be there with you. And watch out, and we're not responsible if you get electrocuted while you're out there. Is that not a good attitude? You know, they said that they were going to use robots to mow around out there. Well, they've been over here in Red River County with crop dusters spraying hazardous chemicals and all on the sites over there where these things are. There's people already that's got sick from them spraying these chemicals, you know, that is proven fact that causes cancer, causes Parkinson's disease and other diseases. And they're just freely going out there and doing it. You know, there's people that's taking pictures of it, seeing the planes going over. I don't know how many times they stopped out here at the airport and filled the plane up with hazardous chemicals and went and sprayed it. You know, that's just some of the minor things that we can tell you about. You know, in Italy, if an electric vehicle catches on fire, they take 3 pieces of equipment there. They take the fire truck, they take a roll-off and a crane. They pick the car up and they set it in the roll-off, and then they fill it with water so that they can, at some point in time, it will finally drown out. When the hurricanes come through Florida, it wasn't televised on TV much, but there was electric vehicles down there that were shorting out and catching on fire. It got to the point that wreckers down there wouldn't even pick one of them up because there'd been a couple of wreckers that the cars come back on fire and they burnt the wreckers down. So they refused to even go pick the cars up. Green ain't always good. I don't think there's anything green or good about a solar farm in any way at all. You know, I've been on the fire department since we started in '76, and this scares me more than anything I've ever been involved with. It scares me deeply, and we've got a lot of young guys here that are on the fire department. What's going to happen to them, their families, if they get involved in one of these fires? They can't tell you because they don't know. They haven't done any kind of impact study, environmental impact studies in any way at all. They're not open to it. They say baloney and go on. They just want to do it. We need to stop it. Solar power in Franklin County at all. Thank you.
Amen.
So I think one of the things that you're going to hear up here from a lot of different speakers is we don't know. And we don't know. We don't know a lot of information. We have a lot of information. But there's so many unanswered questions, and the solar companies are not providing any answers to anything. You've never seen a solar representative come here, unless there is one. Is there a solar representative here in this meeting today? A solar representative? Is there one here? Yeah, that's what I thought. So no solar representatives have come to any of our town hall meetings. And
one thing I'd like to say, everything that the solar people told us at the school board meeting was an untruth. We have not found one thing that they said was the truth.
yeah, thank you. So if any of you attended that school board meeting, there was an opportunity for people to submit questions to the school board, and they in turn submitted those questions, the ones that they liked, to the solar representatives. And the solar representatives then answered, and there was no rebuttal to them. So again, if you were there, you would have been able to see through the half-truths And many of the things that they actually said were refuted by the Texas A&M professor that came on afterwards, but again, there was no follow-up on that. So the next person that's going to be up is Kathy Boren, and she's going to talk about what's called a BESS. And I'll let her explain what a BESS is.
I think it's my name's Kathy Boren, and I live out with my husband on 2010. We found out about a year ago that they're going to put a BESS unit out next to our property. Ladies, the BESS unit. We can't hear you. Sorry. Let me start again. My name's Kathy Boren. My husband and I live out on 2010. Thank you to Billy Frank. We found out about a year ago that they were going to put a BESS unit out near our home, about 500 miles from where back to Pickens. That BESS unit stands for Battery Energy Storage System. And there's pictures of that BESS unit from Saltillo on this slideshow up here. This storage complex will store energy. It's going to be sold to people in Dallas, Houston, or Austin. We're not going to see a bit of it out here. It's just like the water that's being sold to different big cities all over our state. If we don't do something now and try to stop them, it's just going to get worse. They're going to keep taking more and more land. We've driven all over this county. We've driven Hopkins County. They're going to make all of these different solar fields are going to connect. And they're going to have the largest solar complex in the world right here in our area. And nobody's saying a word about it. Dike tried to fight them. Their commissioners didn't stand up for them. They let them come in and take it. We fought with our commissioners. We've asked them to help us. We're not getting anywhere right now with them. Jerry has been really good to step in and help us. He's the only person that really cares about this county. The others are just not worried about it. Or worse than that, maybe there's some other stuff going on. I don't know. But I'm asking people to start standing up, start calling these people, telling them enough is enough. We want our county back. We didn't move to Franklin County to lose what we're fixing to lose. Our birds are going to be gone. We got horses that may not make it if we have a fire out there. I don't want it. I mean, I enjoy where I'm at. It's peaceful, it's quiet. And then there's the fact that there's a subdivision across the road. Those people are going to be in the evacuation zone, and nobody cares. Nobody's told us. How are we going to know when we need to get out? But we have been told you're going to have just a few minutes to get inside or get out. And when you go inside, you better have it pretty airtight. And you're going to stay there until somebody comes around and tells you it's safe to get out. These BESS units are bombs. The batteries are hooked together, connected one after the other. If it starts on fire, it's just going to connect to the next battery. And sooner or later, you're going to have a big fire. And like all these other folks have told you, you can't put it out. You cannot put it out. And it puts out some toxic fumes. And there's several of them that you're not going to have much time if you breathe it in. You're done. We have livestock. I hate to think about what's going to happen to those livestock. And nobody cares about my livestock. Nobody cares about my property. I hear property rights. These guys have property rights. Yes, they do. But those of us that are neighbors to this, we have property rights also. And nobody cares about my property rights. You're just some little person that makes a lot of noise. We'll just run over you. But I have the same property rights as anybody else. And there's a little note that says, where their property rights end, mine start. Well, I'm going to stand up for mine, whether or not anybody else does or not. But I do know that I have a bunch of people behind me that they're just as passionate about saving their property as I am. We just need people to get up, stand up with us, make some noise, and let them know enough's enough. We like our county just the way it is.
Okay. Here's a sign where they're gonna put the bills.
The picture that is up there is the site that the best is gonna go on. It'll be right in that open area back there. That's 1.5 miles from town. And like Mr. Emery said, it's a 3-mile evacuation zone. It gets part of Mount Pleasant, or Mount Vernon, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna go right behind the chicken farm.
We're gonna have to eat those?
I would figure that his,
He's probably gonna go out of business.
yeah.
We don't know that.
I'm not sure his chickens will make it through the.
Right here is the
building.
Harvey Morris housing addition right across the road here. We live right here.
I got you.
Is that the Well Heights chicken farm there?
No, sir, that's an age, well, it used to be Ages and they sold out to Pond, Sam Pond.
Yeah. This is the AG place here. All them woods there is under contract for, solar. So all them woods are gonna disappear.
Gary, somebody who ought to be recognized. I mean, y'all have a lot of emotional, and we all do. I'd be in evacuation zone too. As a personal matter of respect, Donna McFarland, I've got to single you out because somebody who didn't even know it was happening until Samsung officially filed their darn plat and shows the plans for a BESS within 1/4 mile. So none of us are getting these things disclosed. So you want to talk about, we're all on edge. Charlotte talked about the anguish, David Truesdale's wife. Donna, thank you for coming tonight, and you're somebody who, out of the blue, you find out you've got a BESS unit and one of these things right in your back door at your family's land. And we appreciate you coming. Thank you, we do. We'll do what we can.
What are the action items? We all know how bad it is, but what can we do?
I'm going to summarize, and if you stay till the end, I will report. We've got our state senator, Lois Colhurst, out of Brenham, Texas, Republican, is backed by Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and they're trying to get complete control over these at a county level so we can stop them. And it's this legislative session, Donna, we've got 2 months to get it done. So we'll send out a notice. We're trying to write Austin, and we may get some relief yet. We've got Charlie Wilson here tonight. We've got Velvet Coberly, the treasurer of our Republican Party for this county, who has been behind us all the way with the Attorney General's efforts to get the Attorney General to let us have a moratorium. Let's end our thanks to the Borans and our sympathy for Donna. And Donna, that's why we're here. We're trying to get action items. Thank you, Gary. Hey, you can talk to me after it's over.
I was kind of concerned of the whole thing. What are their plans, the county plans with 2205? I heard some bad things. So.
Toby Godfrey came, and his son-in-law, Patrick Barron, has had a kidney failure and has been in ICU. They let him out this afternoon. Toby came tonight, and we failed to ask him, Bob, and that's our bad. He took a tamale to his wife, so I don't know, but we're trying. How's that? Okay.
All right, so BF's ordered me to, and I'm pretty good about following orders. Spent 27 years avoiding following orders. The next person we're going to have speak is Mary McLennan. Mary?
David, you could also tell people there's some seats if anybody wants to go in there with.
BF said there's seats.
Come on in, and you want to find some seats, come on in. How you doing? Hi, my name is Mary McLennan. I'm from Daphne Prairie, right off of 1896. The way this kind of started for me was last year. I suppose you all saw the same article in the newspaper where it was talking about the tax break that they had applied for the school, and it had this picture don't know if you can see it, I hope you can see it, but these are on the wall over here also. And I saw that, I'm like, well, it looks like it's kind of out here, but it doesn't look that big. What is it? And the article was confusing. Of course, it's a whole different vocabulary that you kind of learn when you start listening to this discussion about the 313 tax breaks, which it's not an issue right now, but it definitely was last fall. And I was in a family meeting about this last June and kind of got a little bit more information about it. And it sounded like it's getting awful close to home, because it was. And it took me a few weeks to get motivated, I guess. I kind of got sick in the middle there, and once I got over that, I was like, well, maybe you need to find out what this is. So I said to Kathy, we need to go to the commissioners meeting Monday and see if they know anything about this and what is going on. So we went just in the public comment portion. I know they can't answer questions, but just ask them, you know, what is going on with solar in the county, and we need to get this discussion open. So that's kind of how it started. Then I started looking through old videos of the school board, because I heard that I don't even remember how it started, but I guess it was just watching their meetings and going back to that original article about the meeting at the school. And in that discussion, we got a good bit of information directly from, probably was from Solar, but through, I think it was the school's attorneys, about the size and the scope of what's gonna happen. And I sat and I watched those videos over and over, like the only place to get the information. And then got online and found the actual 313 applications with the state. And that's where we got a good bit of information as far as the panel size, and some of it has the acreage. But the information was not public. Let me say this different. It wasn't shared with the public. It's public information, but you got to go find it. So you can't probably see that little kind of rectangle on that map, but you can see this on the wall out here too. But it kind of turned into a 9-mile map along 1896. And where this would be described as being is, as they have said, off of 2010, which runs past the meatpacking plant a long time ago, kind of on the way to the dump, that keep going straight. And it starts down that road where they're saying the best is. And then it goes north over 8 miles, close to 9 miles, nearly to the Titus County line. I don't know if you're familiar with 1896 or not, but the Titus County line is nearly where this ends. And if you, I'd assume I'm talking to people that kind of know the area, at least been down the road. It's a long ways. It's not everybody, it's not all of it, but it does run continuous, at least. There's a curve north of the jumper land that kind of goes forever, seems like. I think there's 800 acres back there that used to be wheat for grazing, but now it's going to be solar. And it connects to land that, if you know Slaughter's land out at Daphne, this land will connect to that curve just north of Jumpers all the way to, not Slaughter's land, but the land that's just, what would it be, south of Slaughter's. That's a long ways. And it's all kind of off the road for the most part, except it does come up to the road, as you can see on the maps. It comes up to the road and it goes back out, depending on who signed up and who didn't. We do have, several people, landowners, that haven't signed up. The problem is we have a lot that did. Out that direction, they started discussing I think it was 2,500 acres was what was in the original 313 application. And then last September, they added what they called the saddle house. You'll hear us talk about the stockyard all the time, but the saddle house was kind of connected to the stockyard. You like the name? You get the drift of the Stampede at South Pillow? It's supposed to be west from, but anyways, they connected that to that, and it's going to be like another 2,500 acres. So it's just easy to say there's 5,000 acres out, 1896. And then also in the information that we got from the school was a solar company or solar LLC called Lupinus. And they called it Lupinus 1 and Lupinus 2, but it seems like now it's more just being called Lupinus in what we see. It did show on the paperwork filed with the state that there were two 2,500 acre tracts. Well, that's another 5,000 acres. North of Mount Vernon, you go out 37 to Lake Chapel Church, turn and go to the west, and back over in there, that will kind of make its way through the county road back out towards 71. That's west of 37, 5,000 acres. Cunningham is not part of our county, part of our concern, but if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. There's pictures out here of Cunningham, both from the air and pictures of the solar as it is on the ground. They do have panels on the ground there. We don't have any construction yet in Franklin County. I thank God for that because it rains every 5 days. I don't know what's going to happen when it quits raining. I know they had on their application with the state, their start date was January the 1st. We have somebody to thank that they haven't already done what they're fixing to do. I don't know that there's an easy answer of how to stop them or how to stop it. But Stockyard, Saddle House, and Lupinus were the initial conversations. Since this, we're hearing that on Highway 71, east of Hagensport, on the way to Talco, there's some kind of activity going over there. I did drive through there several months ago, and I noticed a substation out there in the middle of nowhere. Do you know how long that's been there? Long time or not?
Not a long time.
Okay. Because she says they're tearing down fences. We have no idea who's doing what over there or what it's going to be. We don't know. All the way to Titus County line. She said that wouldn't be a doubt a bit. It surpasses it because that's what happens out here at Daphne Prairie. It just keeps on going. What we have heard, I don't mean this big gossip, but usually our gossip turns out being true, is that there are pending offers south of town. Everybody down at the lake, kind of thought it was up north part of the county and it won't affect them. On 900 and 115 area. If you think about it, there's a power line that runs from the east to the west, just north of Pearlie. Those transmission lines are what they go after because they need that in order to transmit the power to their destination. That's already there thanks to the coal mines operation for years. So there's a power line north of Pearlie. Hearing rumors, good rumors, of offers being down south part of the county. 4 or 5 months ago, I heard somebody say that perhaps there's solar moving in out by the college. I said, well, I know we got it in Titus County because it's all around me. On the east side of 1896 in the Daphne Prairie area. There's about 1,000 acres on contract across the Titus County line in Daphne Prairie. The other day, okay, here I didn't know what I was going to say and somebody shut up. Anyways, the other day, I did a different search in Titus County. I don't know how many there's, let me count it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 11 contracts out by the college. Is anybody here from Mount Pleasant? Yeah? Okay.
Not the college area, though.
Okay.
That's too rich for me.
Okay. Anyways, there's 11 contracts pop up out by the college.
They got the money.
You're gonna have more. One other thing I wanted to show just real quick, if you don't mind. BFW. I want you to look at my map that I kind of highlighted here on your way out. I'll hang it back up on the wall kind of by that. Went to the first ever Sulphur River Basin Authority meeting a couple, 6 weeks ago, 4 months, weeks ago, last month.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, by time flies. Anyways, I'm pretty good contact with the people in Dike and hear what they're going through and have seen the pictures. So yes, I went to the Sulphur River meeting. Michael, who I think is going to be here shortly, probably why I need to hurry up, is the lead over there with the Sulphur River Basin in the discussion. BF got a map that showed all of the creeks that run towards the Sulphur River. I've been told everything north of 30 goes to the Sulphur River, south of 30 goes to Lake Cypress and on. So BF had this map, and I took an old blue highlighter, and I put the veins, this is what this looks like to me, is veins of water that run from Stockyard, Lupinus is over here, it all runs north to the Sulphur River. And I think Michael will probably share with you some of the horrors that they've had in Dike and what it's done to their creeks. It looks like veins. It is veins. We all need water to live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. What a great segue into the water world. So we're going to have a couple of speakers come up here, and Mike Rampman is going to come up, and I thought somebody else was going to come with him, but we've only got one microphone, so Mike is a real expert in this. So thank you, Mike.
Thanks. I hope I can live up to that. I don't know that I'd say I'm an expert, but just wanted to first take a moment to plug what I'm doing. I am running for the Franklin County Water District at large, and reason for that is to get on the board because the Franklin County Water District can have a lot more responsibility dealing with water throughout the county than they currently do. So I'm running at large, and wanted to just mention that because at large is county-wide versus a precinct 3 or precinct 4 candidate. So if you're in those 2 precincts, you get to vote for 2. If you're not in those precincts, you get to vote for me. So I appreciate your vote. So as I say, in this, I got into this because of solar. Back, gosh, I guess it was back in September, one of the first meetings that BF held. I went to that and just couldn't believe what was coming our way. And then some other things happened around the water district, so I felt like I had to get in there. And since then have realized, the responsibility that they actually should have. But maybe currently they're not actually living up to those standards. Mary mentioned that, up at the Sulphur River Basin Water Authority, they passed a resolution 2 weeks ago. That's the Sulphur River Basin. We're in the Cypress River Basin. So we're just below them. Up here where we've been talking about the solar going in, the runoff flows into the Sulphur River. Now there are some pending offers out for, and she mentioned that as well, down by Pearly and on 3122. The runoff from those is going into the Cypress River Basin, into Lake Cypress Springs. The toxins off of the panels the first 6 months are supposed to be the worst. I don't have the facts to prove that, but I'm hearing that. That's going to the runoff's going to be right into our watershed. You put the panels up, and it's like pouring concrete. There's no chance for the soil to soak it up. It's all going to run into the lake. We have enough problems with runoff into the lake with the sludge and what have you in the lake, and there's really not much you can do about it, you know, to remove it. It's hard to dredge all that out. So I'm going to get on this board so that I can make sure that we have got some sensible use of the water. We have three contracts actually, Winsboro, Mount Vernon, and Cypress Springs SUD. And over the years, they've basically extracted the same amount of water, a little bit increase here recently, but not anything significant. You know, we had a drought this past year. The water levels were being blamed on the drought and evaporation. Can't argue with that, but now that the lake is full, I'm going to be watching much closer this year to see exactly what happens. I have some conspiracy theories, but I'll keep those to myself of what happened this last year. So, as I say, the three entities, and there is Mount Pleasant, they actually own the water that they get, so there's no contest whether you know, they get that water or not. They're going to get their water. And that flows right on down through you know, Bob Sandlin, then into Lake of the Pines and on into Caddo. Okay, and that's good. That's the way it was originally planned back in 1971. But I guess the troubling, well, the most troubling is the Cypress Springs SUD. You know, they cover the county. Anything that Mount Vernon doesn't cover. There's a little bit up north where I think it's Tri-Sud services some of the neighborhoods up there. But otherwise, the Cypress Springs SUD covers all of Franklin County, a little bit of Hopkins County, and basically they are required right now to give water to anybody that asks for it. You know, and I wouldn't be too concerned about residential meters, but it's the commercial meters. But then I have to back up and say, well, Stampede, it seems they got their water through residential meters. So again, this is our opportunity to go and renegotiate contracts with those entities to make sure that they are paying attention to what's happening. And Water District can make sure they've got sustainability plans for the environment, including water, right at the top. We can't live without the water. For drought contingency plans, all of the things they should be looking at, and they're not today. They meter their own water. They report back to the Water District how much water they use. Is it right? Is it wrong? Who knows? I don't think that's the right way to do it. The Water District ought to be out reading the meters themselves. We need to make sure that all the water they sell is metered. It's not just an open pipe and an estimate of how much water is going to be used, you know, for this project, that project. So there's a lot of things that the Water District can do to help preserve the water that we've got. It's our only water supply, so we cannot let it be damaged, let it be poisoned. I'm looking into what happened up here at City Lake, and maybe you all can catch me afterwards to let me know what you've heard. But that used to be the water supply to Mount Vernon. I heard it was shut down because of heavy metal content that they couldn't deal with, so then they started pulling water from Lake Cypress Springs. I'm really curious what happened, because I'm afraid that's the same thing we might be looking at Lake Cypress Springs. So, all that said, you know, we've got to protect the water that we've got. You know, I've heard all the numbers about the concrete, the water used in the construction, you know, in the millions of gallons. Stampede took 204,000 gallons in 1 month. That's a lot of water. It's not huge in the grand scheme of things, but it's a lot of water. I have an article from Nevada back, I think it was in 2022, where they used 2 million gallons in 1 month just to keep for dust abatement, to keep the dust down for the trucks. It's like take perfectly good water and just dump it on the road. Why aren't they using gray water, purple water, drilling wells, you know, finding a different way to get the water? If they decide to pour the concrete out here and set up their own plant, instead of bringing in the water or the concrete from Sulphur Springs, we got a mess on our hands. They'll be sucking lots of water out of the lake. So, with that, I appreciate the time, and we will talk with you all soon.
So, thank you, Mike. Well, he wants to work again, so hopefully we're going to have Joel Dealey come up and and speak, and hopefully, Joel, the microphone will continue to work for you. Hold it close to your face, I guess, that's the key. Or holler if you, yeah. I've never heard Joel talk loud, so I don't know if you can.
Oh, yeah, I can talk. My name is Joel Dealey. My wife and I moved here roughly 8 years ago. And after my wife said we're moving to Texas, I got to looking around and we happened to find a place out on Daphne Prairie. And a guy who's been in the livestock business in one way, shape, or form my whole life. I started looking around and I thought to myself, this place has all I want. They have sale barns that you can buy and sell livestock. There's probably 5 of them within 50 miles of where I live, which is crazy good because where I come from, they're 100 miles away. And you could spend a whole day if you got a cow or a bull or something you want to get rid of. You spend a whole day getting rid of them. Here, I drive to Mount Pleasant, drop it off, and I'm back home in time for coffee. So it's great. My poster here, by the way, forgive me because I haven't done anything like this since probably 5th grade science project.
Good job.
And it's the impact of the business community if you take a large amount of acreage of cattle producing land out of production. First of all, you have the feed and seed dealers, fuel and oil and fuel and gasoline sales, chemical, weed control and insect control, farm equipment dealers, veterinarians and all the veterinary things you need to raise cattle and other livestock. We have a lot of honey locusts around, and most of you realize tires and honey locusts don't get along very well. And so you got to get tire repair. And I did mention the livestock sale barns. The fertilizer sales, custom applicators can put that on for you, so they're kind of threatened. The fencing and other cattle handling equipment sales. The list is quite long, and I'll put this back up. As you can see, there could be the potential for a lot of impact in all that community. There's rumors of as much as 30,000 acres of land being taken out of production. And that doesn't even talk about what's going out of production in Titus County, Hopkins, Lamar, and Red River. It's going to have a huge impact. With that, I'll give the mic back to David.
Thank you, Bill. So we've got our next speaker is going to be Natalie Holland, and she's in the restroom right now. So did I just call her out? I'm sorry. She'll be right back up. And if a couple different things that we really, that I really want to do is thank Penelope's for allowing us to come here. And if you don't buy coffee here, shame on you. Okay? So that's my plug for Penelope.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do my best here tonight. I'm not going to be redundant and go over a lot of the things that a lot of people have already said so far. But what I am going to do is try to contain my passion because of the adamacy I am and the love that I have for our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our Declaration of Independence that give us, we the people, each and every one of us are we the people. We have the rights that were given to us. by our forefathers that gave their lives, their land, their monies, and fought to give us the independence and the freedom that we all deserve, that God gave us through the creation, His creation of man, and gave us the dominion over the sea, the sky, and the land. What we have to do is realize that we have to be conscious and aware of what our rights are, or we don't know when we're being taken advantage of. We must, simply must, go to those 3 documents. We were not taught them in school. We got exposed to them. We briefly scanned over them. We do not know how much power we have, because we, the people, have the power. So it's very, very important that we realize that because we have the power, because we have the rights, our rights give us the right to what we belong, and it protects us from being infringed upon with our rights, either be property, pursuit of happiness, you know the drill, you've heard that before. But when our property, when our rights end, the minute our rights end at the property line of our neighbors, we've got to be conscientious of them. We can do anything we want to do on our property, anything, but we do not have the right to do anything on our property that is going to violate the rights of our neighbors in any direction, whether in the air or what have you. If you think about it, and when I heard that they're going to go with the herbicides that they were going to do, my heart sank to my toes. That's what they were telling our soldiers in Vietnam whenever they were spraying Agent Orange everywhere. Oh, we're just going to get rid of this green foliage so that, you know, it's no big deal, so you can see where the enemy is. Well, what they were doing was spraying poison over all of them. And how many of them, the ones that are still with us, can still tell you how they feel in their bodies from being poisoned by herbicides. Roundup. Look at the class action suits that are against Roundup right now. Everywhere you look, we've all seen Roundup. We get it out, we spray our little weeds because they say, oh, it'll get rid of the weeds. Well, yeah, when you put it in the air, think about it, the air. When it's in the air and it's coming down, it may fall on where it's intended to fall. There is no guarantee that you can get it to stay contained just to that area. So anytime you have a company or a person or anybody spraying something near your yard, it's probably going to get in your yard, okay, if the wind's blowing it off. So all the farmers, like they've said, you've got the herbicide. What happens to the crops of the farmers that they're living next door to? What happens to the cattle? You know, all of a sudden they don't have any grass to eat because the herbicide got on their grass fields, their hay fields. It is just an ever growing perilous situation that could happen, and we've got to stop it. We cannot let our land and our lives be changed over something, I say frivolous, as this business that they're trying to impose upon us. So do your best, please, please, just take a little bit of time. You can Google them online, just read your 3 documents and see what you think about it now that we're grown up and now that we're older. I spent the past 7 years doing this. You'll be amazed at what you learn about what we don't get that we are due to us because of what our forefathers gave us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie. Now, the next speaker we're going to have is Michael Pickens. And so a lot of what we're talking about that is planned for this community, Michael Pickens and his family are going through right now in Dike. So, Michael, come on up.
Thank you guys for having me tonight. I'm kind of the harbinger of rough news. We've been in this battle for, well, about 3 years.
Where's Dike?
Dike is in Hopkins County, a little bit northeast of Sulphur Springs. So we are right there in a forested wetland. I mean, it is just, you know, it's bottomland, it's spongy. It's been in my stepdad's family for 150 years. You can't really grow any crops on it, but you can run some calf-cow operations. That's what we do. But it's beautiful land and it's covered in water. We were approached back in 2019 to log about 600 acres of post oak forest for NG's solar power plant. Right now it's about 1,850 acres, but they want, yeah, right, I've got it down there. They wanted over 3,200 and more. They're continuing to push. The reason why they showed up was because of that KV line. You've got a huge KV line that goes through our area of Dike, all the way to McKinney, and it was connected to that coal plant that's no longer operational. But it's a big power line. That's why they came in on us. They got the 381 abatement. That was done illegally by the county. That's in flux in court right now. And they also got that 313 with the school district. That being said, even if they hadn't, I'm thinking enough money's coming out of DC right now where they would do it without it. Okay, so the battle's been, 3 years. We've, the whole community, we had no idea about it until, it was almost too late and the tax breaks were done. But we organized a big group about 2 years ago, Save Dike from Solar. We have meetings every Sunday there at the Dike Community Center. And currently, right now, we're trying to incorporate into a Class C municipality, which is one of the reasons why we got targeted, is that we are unincorporated. And we have no way to protect ourselves, any restrictions, ordinances, or anything. All that falls to the county, and those guys are 110% solar. Our county judge, you may know him, Robert Newsom, our Precinct 3 Commissioner, Wade Bartley, that's all they want is solar, no matter what, okay? And they'll tell you they think the money's going to be good enough to decimate our area of Hopkins County. Maybe so. I don't know. I guess it's a matter of perspective. We don't agree with it anyhow. But we've got a vote for incorporation May 6th. Wade Bartley's pushing pretty hard against us. It's going to be interesting to see how we get on it. But I want to show you the damages. We delayed the project for about a year, and in January, NG started to move really, really quick on us. We think maybe it's because we had a vote set for incorporation, or they had run out of time to start putting money into the project. They were going to lose the tax breaks. They needed to invest a certain amount of capital. Whatever the reason, they started doing massive land grading over the 1,800 acres. The project area is the high country, kind of a little bit of hills, and flows all into all the neighbors and my mom's property and everybody else. And they've just graded, and it's really destructive. What's not on this presentation, I'll just tell you, the SRBA, Sulphur River Basin Authority, issued an emergency resolution last week against the project because already water running out of Dike and the North Caney to White Oak to Sulphur River is polluted. It's awful looking, and it smells like a rotting carcass, and we'll have water testing done by their engineering firm hopefully in the next couple of weeks to find out what smells so bad and what's in the water. Texas Conservation Alliance, EF, has been with them forever, I believe. They were our advisory council 2 years ago. Ben Jones, I worked for Ben at the Dallas Zoo prior to COVID. He was the executive director of TCA, and they've been just a godsend for us, just we couldn't figure out what was happening and why our area of Texas was chosen for solar. I'm not necessarily against solar. I mean, there's a lot of places in Texas you could put this thing where it's flat, it's dry, there's no forest, there's no people, but that's not where the power lines are, and it's just the power lines. So Spectrum News came out, Brett Shipp did a report that ran this summer. I've just got a 5-minute clip that I'm hoping I can get to go, and so sickening. Maybe not, I hope it pops up. But it's a 5-minute clip. Oh gosh. Gary, do you think we know how to get this screen going?
Gary Andre's gonna
Hi, Jackie. Hi. I'm glad you made it. What?
Said there's quite a few people here.
Yeah, but they're preaching to the choir. It's all the people that already know of it.
Yeah.
Not all residents are welcoming it, but should explain.
Solar energy really taking off in Texas. The biggest plus of solar energy is its positive impact on the environment. It's clean, reliable, cheap energy. But if you start plowing up the environment to build thousands of acres of solar farms, well, the nature lovers will be the first to say, not in my backyard.
That's the beautiful sky, and there's the magnificent pasture. Here's more of the pasture, all of which God created.
August 2014, Jim Martin surveys his 300 acres of pasture and forest land in northeast Texas near Sulphur Springs. It has been in his family for 130 years. Most of the farm is populated with a thicket of century-old endangered post oak trees.
I'm simply a steward of all of this. Just a caretaker. I'll pass away unless we're still together.
Shortly after he recorded this video, Martin died, leaving the property to his wife, Cindy.
There's Indian mounds all through here. It's so spiritual. I just feel like I walk through a piece of heaven. The trees, to me, talk. The way they move, they communicate with each other. There's something magical about trees.
The trees, the fertile farmland, the wildlife.
Lots of cardinals, bluebirds. We have barn owls, screech owls.
It's all sacred to her, which is why in 2019, when developers first wanted to lease her land to build a solar farm, she said no. But deals with some neighbors had already been signed. Developers planned to build a giant solar farm on about 2,000 acres just outside of the little community of Dike. In September of 2020, 3 months after commissioners signed off on the deal, Martin and several others found out.
Hundreds of landowners, both small and large, were never notified. No one was notified. I have over 150 names right here. None of these people were notified.
Martin, her son Michael, and upset neighbors confronted county commissioners who they say intentionally kept them in the dark.
A solar complex as large as this should be built somewhere that's above the floodplain, not on top of clay soil, not in an environmentally sensitive area, not with thousands of acres of post oak forest belt that's going to be cut down.
And in the middle of a community.
And you also have
to that down in the middle of a community. You sold us out.
Commissioners say they gave proper notice of the project as soon as they were approached. And once landowners and local governments sign on, the developers are free to start construction. So Martin and her son began to organize.
Listen, I don't care how many acres you do or you don't have. I don't care how big or small your house is. Everybody matters. Everybody matters.
Their only option now to file a lawsuit claiming the contracts were invalid and the environmental studies were never done. The solar company Engie denies the Martins' claims and says fewer than 100 acres of forest land would actually need to be cleared for the entire 2,000-acre project. But the court fight continues today. Solar farm has yet to be built, and the thicket and the wildlife that depends on it still thrive, thanks to Cynthia Martin's lawsuits. Lawsuits that she says she spent her life savings on.
I'll pass away and this will still be here.
You just don't go in and destroy to put up solar panels. Renewable energy is to figure out how to work with the land, the entire system to make it work. You don't go in and destroy.
And that is possible, according to environmentalist Ben Jones.
In fact, there are many places across our state where renewable energy should be developed, but this place is not one of them.
Not on this endangered forest, and not on the largest remaining piece of native prairie land in the state. That's next time.
The good's gonna wear off, you know. I think people may eventually realize that we have covered our land, and we're gonna miss that land because land is precious. All week, we're showing you stories about how the solar industry is impacting Texans. Next, we'll take you back to Lamar County for part 3 of this series.
Okay, I might just need a little bit of help getting this.
Andre's on his way.
I think I can.
Yeah, Angie's French.
Yeah, it's a French company.
That's something we haven't pointed out, is they're all foreign. It's Italy, France, Bulgaria. We haven't pointed that out. I don't think. I haven't heard it anyways. South Korea. We're not getting
It's all on here.
Washington, D.C.
Fortunately, over in Lamar County, it's in Denmark.
all of our tax money is going to foreign countries by way of government handouts, tax credits for doing this.
Did you eat? Did you get something? Not out here. No, I ate it. I ate at the church. The church? Yeah. This guy that's helping me with the grant. This guy that's helping me with the grant. This is an Indian. This is an Indian medicine bag. Possible pouch. I used to do, I did a lot of that, but
I'll try to get through this quickly. Here's the map of the project area here in Dike. Everything with the star is people that have signed on, and then everybody with the name is who they're after. Right here is my mom's property, Martin Investments. Hers is kind of this top half, and down here is my step-uncle. And Betty Tubb here, Mom would not give Engie access to this power line, so they had to, poor Betty didn't get her solar, unfortunately, not yet anyhow. But everybody else, Omer Ogren, David Canals, Schronberger, Holly Hill and Jim Patterson, Chad Collins, the Jocelyn's, Deatons, Yanez and Green I'm not sure about, but we have all fought against it. I mean, they have been all over us like crazy. So that was the initial, and that's about 3,200 acres they wanted. And at least, we may not have beaten it, but at least we constrained it. Right here, this is what is real important, guys. This is the HAD, the Approved Jurisdictional Determination Map. This is done by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to designate where the water of the U.S. is located that is protected by the 404 Clean Water Act. The U.S. Army Corps had to come out to Dike 9 times for this company to do the correct HAD. There was a lot of arguments about what was a creek and what was a stream. Thank God we got one of the top engineers at the Army Corps, and he made Engie do the right type of map, and golly, you just see a lot of water. Anything that's colored there, I mean, you've got to have permits to impact, and all of that flows into everybody. And all this stuff here, these are all wetlands. And unfortunately in Texas, we don't have wetlands protected. the U.S. Army Corps can protect a wetland, but it's got to be contiguous with a creek or a stream, which really limits what they can protect. Anyhow, it's about 154 acres of water. The federal rules for solar in the United States is that they can only impact half an acre of water. So they've got to be pretty picky on what they do, and they didn't care. They went ahead and started in anyhow without getting any permits from the U.S. Army anymore. The water does anyhow. But it's just gorgeous. I mean, why would you ever clear cut and decimate that for solar? It's about the money or the promise of it. There's me on the right getting water before coming in. In January, thank God we've got so many people in town with good drones. I don't know how to fly one, but already you can see here, man, they've started in. That's a protected creek up in this tree line, and already they're already up next to it, taking down trees and everything.
How do they denote creeks and streams? What's the difference? And which one's protected?
Well, anything that's a navigable waterway is protected by the Clean Water Act. So something, I guess, that you can just kind of trace.
Like a seasonal creek would not.
No, I don't know. I think it does. Yeah, yeah. The Clean Water Act was kind of weakened under Trump a little bit, and Biden, when he came back in, it got beefed up a little bit with seasonal wetlands. That was taken out under Trump, but it has come back in.
February 8th, 2023. This is my property. I'm going to wipe my lens right quick. This is my property. Here's my pond. This has never happened. And back here is the dirt work to the solar panel farm that's coming. I guess I'm going to walk back here. And shit.
Once you start, once you start messing with the land topography, you're gonna screw things up. I don't care who you are. What the?
Looks like a lake.
It's green, isn't it?
And all the runoff.
Oh my God. Yeah, right.
That's going.
Are you kidding
To
me?
my place.
Looks like
Which is terrible.
Looks like it violates your property rights.
February the 8th, 2023. You can see all the equipment. I've never had water like this run off.
Oh my God.
Used to be trees and stuff. I don't blame them, but I just don't want my land to be like this.
So that's Josh Brown's property there. And as you can see, it was a mess. And he's right there on County Road 3523. Already, he and Dallas Campbell are talking about gathering a bunch of people to do a class action lawsuit against Mary G. Miles. She's a millionaire that lives in Dallas that signed her 4 sections. She owns Cross Timbers Ranch, which is gorgeous. But she was willing to lease those 4 sections next to us for solar. This is Mom's Creeks and Streams next to Mary G. Miles on the east side. But as the previous pictures before, when the water was clear, this is what it's turned into now. And that's the solar up on top, and it's coming through, this barbed wire fence here, and that's Mom's Creek's there. It's just massive sediment discharge. I mean, when they grade land like that and take out all the trees in the forest, I mean, this is the stuff that comes through on water.
So, in other words, there's the potential for it to end up being another dust bowl in East Texas, just like Oklahoma was back in the 30s, when everything is cut down and it's nothing, no foliage, no trees, and it's all dust and history.
Yeah.
And it's humanly brought on.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, it's very damaging ecologically. It's bad. I don't think think the studies have, not enough studies have been done to analyze it yet.
No, studies haven't done. They moved that shit out to the desert. Because there's nothing grows in the damn deserts, and that's where it belongs.
Okay, well, real quick here. Okay, that's what's going on. That's what's going into all of our creeks and streams. All that used to be forest and a gorgeous pasture. Real quick, TCEQ has come out. These are two TCEQ enforcement officials. Thank God for violations, I guess, because NG is being fined for 402 violations by TCEQ. That's sediment discharge. And we also found out the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has found a wetland they destroyed, and they're getting fined for that.
May I interject real quick?
Yeah.
I find this very interesting because I called the TCEQ. I didn't even know what the heck the TCEQ was until I started looking into this. And they actually told me that there were no violations in Dike as of last week. So somebody is either lying or vastly misinformed.
They just now got clicked in.
So this last week?
On Friday, yeah.
Well, I called them and said, hey, you need to look into these guys. So maybe they actually did.
Yeah. Well, they've been out there. The violations were in flux. But right there, you can see they're burning, they're taking down forests and just burning the trees. They don't even want to spend the money to log it. And there's what our water looks like before on the property. That's what it looks like now. Those are protected wetlands too. Again, that's what we had on the left before. On the right, that's what it looks like now on Jonas Helms' property. Just and this is what these guys are after. This is the more forest to the east they want logged. Again, wetlands and forest being taken down there. Just awful. More creeks polluted.
It's making me sick.
I mean, look at that there. We want that.
It's making me sick.
A wetland that's destroyed there. Y'all need to find this map. Joanna Friebel has it in Erath County. I mean, you can see here, man, they're coming in on all of us. Just massive amounts of solar coming in on all these areas with so much water. It's awful. This is from Texas Parks and Wildlife. I won't go over that. I'm not an expert on that, but essentially a lot of studies have been done where just the increased runoff off solar. All the toxins in the panels, I know right now there's PFASs, those forever chemicals that China's spraying on the components within the panels to keep the condensation out. We're real concerned about that leaking into the water. And they've already brought in the panels that are coming out of Vietnam. It's a Japanese company, but Chinese components made in Vietnam.
Before BF comes on, I promised Mike that I would give him 1 minute.
2 hours is a long time to have to sit. You're gonna give him a minute? Okay, do it.
Okay, wait a minute. BF gave me a schedule, and I am keeping to the schedule. And this is what's, and
Go.
55 seconds.
When I looked at today's date, I was reminded of something that happened 44 years ago this coming Monday. On April 10th, 1979, I lived in Wichita Falls. At 5:58 p.m., the electricity went off, and every siren in town went off. I climbed up on the roof of my house because I was 24 and bulletproof, and I looked toward the south side of town. It was a huge black wall. It was a tornado. 3 tornadoes converged outside of town. It ripped up it tore up 8,000 homes, put 20,000 people on the street. It killed 44 people, and it put thousands in the hospital. In addition to that, with no electricity, and we had no electricity for a week. We couldn't get gas. The city was so torn up, you couldn't tell where the streets were. It was just an ocean of rubble. The point of that is, if we think that couldn't happen to us here, it could. There was a cow sitting in front of a steakhouse. It was huge. And it was in Oklahoma when it stopped flying. So I don't know what would happen to a Bess if it got picked up by a tornado. If we think we're safe in this county, they're not even safe in Hopkins County. Or if one hits them, we're not safe here. That's the point of that story. And that was 44 years ago this coming Monday. I know I don't look that old, but...
since BF appointed me MC, I'm gonna wrap it up with BF, and I'm not gonna come back afterwards. But thank y'all for coming and having the patience.
The original plan for this one was that we would have stations all around, wasn't it, Tom Austin? And so Tom Austin helped me plan this. We were going to have stations and visit. It was going to be come and go, 15 minutes. We didn't mean for people to have to sit for 2 hours. But thanks for suffering through all of our presentations. We're all pretty passionate, and we really appreciate y'all being here and kind of sharing our commitment to try to get something changed in Texas, to regulate this technologically new advance in Texas, because this is new industry. We don't know yet what's going to come of it. What we do know is that we're pretty much surrounded in Franklin County. We really are. And Mike Rambin, right here. Mike Rambin, I don't think you mentioned that the mid-range of the Cypress Basin already has leases all along the Cypress Creek bottom.
That's right.
Going into Bob Sandlin. So Titus County's not free from this. It's about to happen there. Hopkins County is just covered, and it's unreal. You know, miles and when we say miles of fencing too, it's 7 miles of fencing one way on Stampede. So it really means there's probably, given that it's about 2 miles wide. So Debbie Garza, it's more like 7, do my math for me, girl. It's about 20 miles probably of actual fencing that's out there enclosing that big area. And this area over here that's going to be between the Silver River and White Oak Creek, that's 8 miles across, and it's tremendously wide. It'll be something like 20 miles enclosing a huge area. And what if a deer gets caught inside it? Today, David and our reporter who's up here from Houston, David said it was a raccoon. All I saw, and I thought it was so apropos. Probably a dozen buzzards perched inside the fence eating a carcass of some poor animal that had gotten caught. Now, the one thing that gave me a little bit of pleasure, some of the panels were straight up, and the buzzards were perching on them, and buzzards make terrible food. So, Jerry Cooper, thank you for being here tonight. I mean, just looking across at all of you friends and the support you've given us. And my friend Jenny Dennis of many years and sitting through all of this. We've got a lot of anguish. We're still hoping between Governor Abbott and the Texas Senate, and then we'll have to get it into the House. And last night at about midnight, I got a bill, a report on the bill. They're doing the compromise now, and I've already been down to Austin once before the Senate, and I said I'll come back and appear before the House. So maybe we'll get some legislative relief, because remember, this is a totally new industry. There is no regulation whatsoever. Now, the one other thing, I put out a copy or two and a table in there of the new lithium leases. So remember that these buses contain lithium batteries, and so now the fuss has been, well, these lithium batteries are all made in China. So they're going to start mining lithium here in Franklin County. What? Well, I can show you them. Johanna Dale, where are you?
She cut out on me.
She did, okay. Did she show you the document, or? Yeah. Okay. It's unreal. Johanna said we could release the document in her name. Johanna lives right on I-30, and she's received an offer from one of these development companies. I'll give you a copy, Alan Fisher. It'll blow you away. Where they can, they will force inject water, Lake Cypress Springs, think Lake Cypress Springs, mix it into a brine and pull it back out. It washes the salt deposit out, and it can leave caverns, and you can have sinkholes. You fill those with concrete. But move on from this technology. Let's give up on these renewables. I'm sorry, but we can't have the solar panels covering every bit of God's gift for us on this planet Earth.
Right.
And with that said, David, you didn't want to come back. We thank all of you. Kirby, I'll give you one of them. You'll be surprised at the language if you've not seen it. Oh, we bought 40 dozen hot tamales. Please stay around a few minutes and eat a hot tamale, and thanks for being here tonight.